Hi, I'm Drew Saur, and today I want to talk about taking the idea of compound interest and applying it to your career. Now, these ideas come from two different worlds. Typically, compound interest is a banking term. Most people know it from savings or retirement funds. The idea being you put a certain amount of money in an account, it's getting interest, you leave it there, and the money compounds over time, and by the end of, again, in this case, retirement account, you have a nice nest egg to live off of after you retire. And what I want to do is use this as an example of taking a model from one domain and applying it to another. So this is the concept of meta models. You can Google it. There's a lot of information on there, but it's a very powerful way of getting a slightly new perspective on something that you may think you know very well. So in this case, compound interest. There are two main attributes of how good compound interest will increase your investment. The first is time horizon, and the second is the rate of return. So let's take this concept and apply it to your career. So first, time horizon. You want it to be as long as you can. So what does that mean? That means start today. So if you're going to apply compound interest to your career, take today, as soon as you can, pick something to improve upon, and start working on it. The second piece is the rate of return. And again, back to the banking example, you may have heard of the rule of 72. It's a shorthand way of calculating interest. Again, you can Google it. But in short, what it means is that at 7% interest, it takes about 10 years to double your money. At 10% interest, it only takes 7 years. Because again, the two numbers basically multiply to approximately 72. But the important concept there is that it's not a ton. It's not a really big number. So again, if you can go from 7% to 10% interest, so if you can increase the rate of increase by 3%, it cuts 3 years off the time horizon to double. And so this is really where, from a career perspective, I would introduce the concept of deliberate practice. So let's say you're trying to improve your presentation skills, right? When should you start? Today, if you haven't already, right? You want the longest time horizon possible. The second question is, how do you increase the rate of return? So how do you understand what you are trying to do and use a very specific way to improve it? So one way to practice presentations is just to go give a bunch of presentations. And you will get better. Over time, you'll become more comfortable. But you'll be doing it at a very organic pace. And that would kind of be the 7%. Now, deliberate practice is the idea of taking some very specific aspect of the skill you're trying to build and working on that and reflecting on that. So again, if we're taking this presentation example, what about handling Q&A? That could be something you work on. Being able to stand at a podium without fidgeting, that could be another one. So there's some specific aspect that you are trying to improve. You go in and say, okay, today I'm going to handle Q&A. I'm going to try to do it smoothly without getting nervous. So you give your presentation and you focus very closely on how you handle the Q&A portion. And at the end, you go back and you reflect, how did I do? What did I do well? What did I do? What could I do better next time? And you hyper-focus on a very specific thing that you can measure. In this case, the smoothness of your Q&A answers. That's the idea of deliberate practice. Don't just kind of go do stuff. Have something in mind that you're trying to improve and a way to actually figure out, did you improve it? And that's what really takes you from that 7% to that 10%. So once again, deliberate practice, focus on something very specific, and you can update sort of your rate of return by just a couple of percent. And that's the core message that I want to share with you today, is that it doesn't take a lot. Over time, compounding is very, very powerful. So all you need to do, you don't need to re-engineer your entire career. You don't need to find 30 hours a week to prep and do presentations all the time. You need to figure out a small amount of work that you can do, just a couple percentage points, and it'll make a huge difference when compounded over the decades of your career. So again, today I just wanted to share this idea, compound interest, again, not something that most people think about from their career, but very much applicable for building your skill set. Make sure you are compounding your skills over time. Think about them. Think about the specifics of how would you know you are getting better, and focus on improving those. And compound interest drives almost everything. And in a career, it makes a huge difference. So think about it. Figure out if there's something that you want to compound to help take your career to the next level, and give it a shot. So I hope you found that useful. As always, if you want some more in-depth videos, you can check out my free Next Level crash course at drewsaur.com/next level. And once again, try it out, compound your skills, and I look forward to seeing you next time.